G'day, it's Jamie, and welcome to Where's My Yowie. Today, I'm reading an old broadsheet poster that was published in 1789 about the capture of a yowie, so we'll get into it. Titled, A Description of a Wonderful Large Wild Man or Monstrous Giant brought from Botany Bay. There has been many areas reports concerning this. Most surprising, wild man or huge savage giant that was brought from Botany Bay to England. Numbers of people arguing and disputing about his enormous size, but to prevent further contending, the following is sufficient to satisfy the reader, as many thousands have seen him in Plymouth, where he was landed alive and good health. A gentleman of this country, being lately in Plymouth, was curious enough, for he took a view of the giant, he being the first ever that was brought from Botany Bay to this kingdom. Therefore this gentleman of veracity brought the printed account of him, which gives a description of the wonderful size, form, shape, features, and complexions of this astonishing giant. Also an account after the manner that he was taken by a crew of English sailors and brought over from Botany Bay, and explained in the following manner. This surprising, monstrous giant was taken by a crew of English sailors when they went on shore to furnish themselves with fresh water at Botany Bay. To their surprise, they beheld at a distance three of the most surprising, tallest, and biggest looking naked men that they had ever seen in the memory of this age turning towards them, which much affrighted the sailors and caused them to make expedition on board the ship for the safety of their lives, leaving the cask of water and a good quantity of old rum, which they had in a keg, to refresh themselves and make merry. When the three savages got to the seaside, they stared at the ship for a long time with wonder and admiration. One of them, having got the keg of rum, he tasted, spit it out, and shook his head. Another did the same, and the third drank plentifully and began to jump about in a frightful wild manner, shouting and making a hideous noise. The other two giants went off and left, this one enjoying the keg of rum, who drank too much excess that he dropped on the ground and lay as if dead. The sailors went ashore well armed, and found this monster, but he was motionless. They bound him with ropes, and with much fatigue got him on board the ship, where they secured him with iron chains, where he slept upwards of 24 hours before he was awake, and he was kept chained during the passage. He showed not the least token of illness at sea. He came in the ship Rover, Captain Lee, to England from Botany Bay, and landed at Plymouth on November 29th, 1789. Ladies and gentlemen, and greeting honest in great numbers, honoured him with their company, and he has been fairly seen by thousands of people, and all acknowledged him to be the greatest curiosity ever seen in England by the oldest man living. He being such a monstrous overgrown size, and being this the first ever brought from the country, the captain leader determined to bring him to London. He's much tamer and not too savage in temper, as might be expected. He's 9 feet, 7 inches high, 4 feet, 10 inches broad, and a remarkable large head, broad face, frightful eyes, a broad nose and thick lips like an aborigine, very broad teeth, heavy eyebrows, hair stronger than a horse's mane, a long beard as strong as black wire, body and limbs covered with long black hair, and nails of his fingers and toes may be properly called talons, crooked like a hawk's bill and as hard as horn. In short, he is feared with admiration and astonishment on account of his huge size. He is allowed to be the greatest curiosity in England. Being the largest man in the known world, and though some say there are larger in New Holland, and he resembles an Aborigine, but his skin is yellow. The sailors who brought him over say, when they took him, he was curiously painted, mostly with red. There are red and green and blue mines where he came from, and they delight in painting their skin. The captain says that before he got this wild man into a custody, he took a close view of them with the spying glass from the ship and the other two ones that were with him, which he thought were his sons, for they looked younger and had little or no beard, and had a variety of red circles and spots and stripes on their bodies and limbs, which they seemed to admire. This giant is very wild and knows nothing of Christianity. He is offered to show many acts of violence, but he's fond of his keeper and is more calm in his temper. He is chained around the middle, but has liberty to lie down and rise and sit and walk some yards when he chooses. They take great pains to instruct him to the English tongue, and it is hoped in time he will be made to talk and become a Christian. He will sometime go willingly, eat human flesh, and if he can get it, but now he seems to alter his mind. He was a long time muzzled. This is the full description, the end. Well, this is pretty amazing. This is probably the first report ever of a Yowie, ever, by white men. Obviously, Aborigines obviously knew about them well before us. But it's really interesting, and this was in 1789 it was printed, so I reckon this is real, just for a couple of reasons. Number one, Yowies weren't a thing them days, so like hoaxing them wouldn't have been a thing, because you wouldn't have been able to describe him so well. And that's another reason why I believe it, because of the description. But if you've got to hoax something in them days, you would have been like a dragon or a sea monster or something like that. Anyway, but here's the description again of the dimensions that they're talking about. He's 9 feet high, 9 feet 7 inches high, 4 feet 10 inches broad, which is like that spot on, a remarkably large head, broad face, frightful eyes, broad nose, thick lips, broad teeth, heavy eyebrows, hair stronger than a horse's mane, and his beard was like black wire. He's covered in long black hair all over. They reckoned his fingernails and toenails look like talons, and they're as hard as horn. I said his skin was yellow, which is really interesting, and that he was painted with red, and the captain reckoned that his sons had spots and stripes on them in coloured paint. It makes me laugh that they're trying to make him a Christian. Good luck with that and teaching him to talk, which might be possible, but the Christian bit makes me laugh. And then they said he'll eat human flesh if he can get it, which is really interesting, because how do they know that he'll eat human flesh if he can get it? And I imagine you're wondering, like, well, how could you get a Yowie back to Australia, back to England from Australia? Well, it passed out from drinking rum, and I imagine they just kept piling it full of rum all the way back to Australia to keep it docile and all that. And they never would have caught me with that trick, because I don't drink rum at all. I can't stand it. And if you ever want to capture a Yowie, that's all you have to do now, is leave a keg of rum out for it. Okay, that's it from me. I'll get back to you all next time. Bye.